Hello everyone, welcome to another episode of Music of the Week. As always, we have 6 albums to go through, so I'm going to go through 6 albums now. We begin with Avatar and their new album, Don't Go in the Forest, which is a very ominous title and ominous album cover, and considering that it came out on Halloween, and I'm giving it an A+, because it's fucking Avatar, and I really like Avatar, and I will give more reasoning. I will say, this feels like a bit of a return to form after how weird Dance Devil Dance got at times. I feel like that one was a bit more scattershot than this one, so I like how much more focused this one feels. I'll start with the band themselves. They're all fucking great. I'm not even gonna highlight a stand it. I just think everyone's really bloody good here, and they're all just having a whole lot of fun. And it's just really nice to hear them. They never sound like they're not having fun. They never sound like they're not trying to get the listener to have a good time either, which is something I always appreciate. But yeah, it just feels like they're doing what they can with what they have, and it's really fucking great because they've always been able to do that because they've always had a lot and they do a lot with it. I do also like the instrumentation. This is more of a groove metal feeling sort of thing. It's still got their usual melodic death metal trappings, but they're still also trying weird shit, and it's nice to just get more guitar solos from the band because the band do really good guitar solos, and it leans into the structuring. Again, I like that there's some Stranger Things, no pun intended, right, and just really good build-ups and payoffs to things, and there's more really good mood switching, but it keeps to like a steady pace along that mood, even with all the weird shit it adds, so I just think that's a really good factor. Lyrics, I will say, are maybe the weakest part to me, mostly because I couldn't really find much of a theme, so a friend of mine who I know likes Avatar actually replied to one of my reviews on Discord, and I'm stealing these words from him basically, and the main theme is exploring the deepness of the inner subconscious without giving in to the darkness of it, which is a really good theme. Unfortunately, it's let down a bit by the writing being a bit silly. I mean, there's a song which just has the word, well, it isn't just the word tits, but it has the word tits in it. I'm just like, yes, what I think of in my subconscious, boobs. I mean, I do, but that's besides the point. But still, it's fun and a little bit dumb at times, and it kind of works, and I also quite enjoy the production. This was handled by Jay Ruston, who I don't know if he's worked with the band before, but that is a name I am familiar with, and he's really good at producing metal, and this is some really nicely detailed and edited, melodic, groovy, deathy metal stuff. Yeah, just really fucking liked it. It is an Avatar album for Avatar fans, so if you are an Avatar fan, which like I am, I can recommend listening to it. And if you're not an Avatar fan, give it a listen anyway, because it might make you an Avatar fan. Next up, we have Creeper with their new album Sanguivore 2, The Mistress of Death, the follow-up to Sanguivore 1, which is called Sanguivore, and giving this one an A+ all across the board, and it's probably my favourite album from the past weekend. So it builds on the concept that they built on the first story, that one being a sort of like theme of rock and roll vampires. This is also an album about rock and roll vampires, specifically a rock and roll band who are all vampires touring America in the 80s and getting killed off by a mysterious presence known as the Mistress of Death. And I fucking love the lyrics for this album. It's a really good high concept about, as I just mentioned, vampire rock bands being hunted by the eponymous Mistress of Death, and there's really good writing with like sleazy, sexy stuff, and also moments of really good creeping horror, and in places love and passion. And I quite like how it's handled as well, but I also like how excessive it gets because the album is ultimately a commentary on excess. Like that's kind of the point. It lives in the excess of the era that it's trying to emulate, and it's fucking well done in the terms of the writing. Also, performances, no bad work from anybody, but I will highlight new guitarist Laurie Patterson as he fits in well. This is the first album with the band, and yeah, just a really great fit. I don't know if he does lead guitar work because there's 3 guitarists in this band, so I don't know who does lead guitar. I also quite like the instrumentation. There's a really good focus on like glam rock and glam punk, for lack of a better term, with some really good like horror elements and just really good layering and more guitar solos because we needed more of those. I like it when this band does guitar solos. They should really do more of them. I also fucking adore the structure, and the overall pacing and construction and framing are all excellent. The storytelling bulks up everything pretty wonderfully, leads up to a really satisfying payoff as well. No joke, like the last song on the album, Pavor Nocturnus, spoilers for my favourite song of the past weekend, might be one of my favourite songs of the year, genuinely. Also, quite like the production handled by Tom Dalgetty, who produced their last album, so you know it's going to be good shit. My elbow, I think, cracked a little bit there. Fuck it, that'll stay in. But yeah, he does a really good job, and the mix is bloody wonderful, just so rich, adds so much of the sound, and leads into the excessive nature without undoing everything else. Like, on purpose. It is very intelligent production, and this is just a really fucking good album, and for God's sake, like, this might be rocketing to one of my favourite bands right now. Like, their past few albums, like, I might be one of those weirdos that didn't enjoy Eternity in Your Arms as much as everyone else, but I love Sex, Death, and the Infinite Void, I really love Sang of War, and I fucking think Sang of War 2 might be their best album. Probably, so... Yeah, again, another thing I'll have to rearrange for my potential top 30, but I absolutely recommend it. If you're a Creeper fan, go give it a spin. And if you're a fan of, like, a sort of throwback sort of vibe with some really fun and exciting stuff, go for it. Next we have Despised Icon returning for the first time in 6 years with their new album Shadowwork. Now their last album was the first album I listened to by them. This is a sort of deathcore thing, and I think ironically this is probably the best fitting album to have come out on Halloween because, you know, deathcore, kind of creepy. Also probably the scariest or like most unsettling album cover. You will have seen it, but if you're watching this in the background, well, I'm not going to tell you how gory the album cover is. It's not like super messed up, but you know, you've probably seen it by now. I'm rambling so much. Anyway, B. I give it a B. I almost said B+, now I just gave it a B. I think it's got some pretty solid stuff. Instrumentation is really good, it's well put together and aggressive, as you would expect from the sound, excuse me. Really good melodies, and sort of a good introspective style worked in too. I kind of like that. I also enjoy the performances, especially the chemistry of the two vocalists, Alex Arian and Steve Marois. Marois? I don't know. Alex was also one of the producers on the album, but I'll get more to that later. But yeah, I like dual vocalists in my heavy music, and this band does that quite well, so I like it. Lyrics are okay. I actually quite like the theme of dealing with inner darkness, but I did want it to feel a bit less generic than it can be. In fact, it's quite a tropey and occasionally cheesy album, but in a way that works. I also feel that way about the structure at times. Again, I like the Fast and Aggressive nature, but I think the songs don't stand apart too much, and it can get quite easy to see what's about to happen, and it feels like it can be a little bit too much at times. I did like the production though. It feels mostly nice and pretty clean, not sanding things down too much, and adding some nice rough edges when needed. It's a pretty good mix, handled by Alex Arian and Eric Jaron, who I think is one of the band's guitarists, I'm not sure. But you know, it is a bit of a tropey deathcore album in a year where we've had some really good fucking deathcore, by the way. And by really good deathcore, I mean the new Whitechapel and Lone Shore albums, and I can't think of anything else. But those two, go listen to those. But maybe give this one a spin if you're a Despised Icon fan. I'm still a recent fan of theirs, and this is the first album in 6 years, and I didn't spin back the previous one at all, so might be a point against me. But I still enjoyed what I think I was supposed to enjoy about it. I think it's a really good, like, genre album for deathcore, so might be a recommendation for that alone. Next up we have Guided by Voices with their new album Thick, Rich and Delicious, and it's official, with this being their 42nd album. They have now put out as many albums as they've been a band for years on this earth, because they formed in 1983, so 42 albums, that's technically an album per year, even though they broke up a couple of times, but they put out a lot of shit in the time between. But I'm giving this one a B+. I think anything I've said about this one is not much I haven't said about their previous two albums, which are the first two I covered by them. Lyrics, weird, no real theme, but that's kind of the point, and I actually quite like the humour of the writing and how natural the phrasing can feel, but again, like, there's not really anything of substance to search for, which has always kind of been the point. Instrumentation is really good. I've always liked this sort of older feel of indie rock, and there's a really good guitar work as well. I also like the performances. Band are just having a lot of fun, and lead singer, well, frontman, but lead singer works too, because it's the same bloody thing usually. Robert Pollard has a lot of personality, and I really like his personality. He just sounds like he's having fun, as does everyone else. I also quite like the structure. I do feel like it can be a little bit rushed in places, but it does have good bounce to it, and, you know, it again, well, it is a little bit rushed. The song switches are so smooth that you don't really notice it. And production is also quite nice. It's got some solid layering on it, and yeah, it's actually quite good texturing as well. I don't think this was handled by a band member, because this was handled by Travis Harrison, and I don't remember if that's a band member or not, because I know he produced their last album. So it might be the same guy, I don't remember. But if you're a Guided by Voices fan, I think this is a very good Guided by Voices style indie rock album, so I recommend giving it a go. Next we have a band called Gum, with two M's, Gum, with their second album, Beneath the Wheel. I did think this was a debut, because this is a band I only recently heard of. I think I found out about them through a music review from somewhere else, or from an Instagram ad, because that has been, you know, a thing for me. But I'm giving this one an A+. I bloody enjoy this one. Instrumentation, let's go for that first. Really good mix of post-hardcore with more hardcore punky elements. Really strongly realised, and I love how fleshed out things feel in terms of that. I also really did enjoy the main lyrical theme. There's a really good theme of self-preservation being built from the ashes of self-isolation, making something good out of something bad, and I'm always all for that as a writing theme, and the band really lean into that. It's really well handled. Structure, I also like, not as much as everything else. I do feel like it can be a little bit short. It's the shortest song of last week, 10 songs, which is per average, 26 minutes and 2 seconds, which is a bit below average in terms of like this kind of timing, but there's still quite a lot to enjoy, and the main sound is just fun to listen to. It's mixed up really nicely as well. The performances are really bloody great, though. I love the band chemistry, and their passion is absolutely clear as well. And I will highlight drummer Harrison Battles, which is a sick-ass name, by the way. And yeah, he's the standout. I think he's really good on the kit, but I think everyone else is all really good. Like, I say that in every fucking Music of the Week episode, but it's true. And production, I also quite like. It's really well put together. I think it was handled by a band member named Dylan Thomas, because when I looked up who produced it, it said someone called Dylan Thomas, and when I tried looking at the band members, it came up with names for all of them, but only a full name for, I think, the lead singer. No, there's one for the drummer. It was very confusing, but I saw there was a name named Dylan, and it's spelled the same way as this Dylan, Dylan, so I don't know if it's the same person who produced it. But either way, it's a really good job. That's the point I'm trying to make. And honestly, you know what? This week, I covered a lot of like really well-established acts, so it's nice to cover something new. And a new project from putting out punk from a place that's more known for its metal scene in Tennessee, specifically Chattanooga in Tennessee. Yeah, I know that place more for its metal stuff, but it produces really good punk apparently. So can it produce more good punk like this? Because this is really good punk, and Scum I quite enjoyed. This one, if you're watching this, I know you're not. It was really good shit. And to close it off, we have a band called Radioactivity with their new album, Time Won't Bring Me Down. Now, this is actually sort of a project by someone named Jeff Burke that is purposely created as a band he made in America. He is American, but he's known for being part of a band that formed in Japan called The Novice. And The Novice is sort of like his main focus. In fact, this is Radioactivity's third album, but the first in 10 years. And I'm giving it a B-. I do think the structure is alright. It's got some good, strong indie, leaning rocky, poppy stuff, but it feels like it whiplashes a bit too much between songs, and the flow just feels weird to me. I do quite like the lyrics. The main theme, I think, is dealing with the passage of time, and the writing is good and fits it quite well. It's got a good openness to it. I can't find much else besides that, but I think it's well handled if that is the case. I do like the performances, and I know that there are other band members besides Jeff, but I think it is that he's the one who I like the most here, and he's got a really good vocal range to him, and I think he might play guitar as well. I'm not sure, but whoever like handled the other stuff, you all did a really good job too. Production, I wasn't super keen on. It was handled by Jeff, and I'm sorry, but it felt like it just weighed things down a bit much. I like the test string in some places, but it can really overbear on the sound at times, and I wasn't big on it. And normally I'm all for like someone who's formed their own project, producing their own music, but I don't know, there was just something that didn't really fit this one for me. I feel like it was a bit overcooked at points. I did enjoy the instrumentation well enough, especially when it leans into its punky edge. There's really good guitar work on here as well. I quite like the drumming, and there's really good synth. I think there's synth on this album, but overall I think it's pretty decent stuff, and I think this was a pretty decent album. Hopefully they put out another one before 2035 so I can see more of what they do, or I could just check out The Novice. I probably should check out The Novice, actually. That might be worth my time. I'm not entirely sure. But all in all, yeah, I thought it was a really solid bit of indie rock. I just think it was a bit undone by some of the things surrounding it, but it's not an album without its charm and heart, much like I did by Voices once, so I recommend giving it a go. Next is favourite album cover and favourite song. Favourite cover goes to Don't Go in the Forest by Avatar. I like that Johannes Ekström, who's the lead singer and he's the one on the cover, looks a bit like Pennywise, and he's also holding a red balloon, so that works. Favourite song definitely goes to Pavor Nocturnus, which is loosely translated to Night Terrors. I just think it's a really great closing song from Creeper's album Thankful to the Mistress of Death, and yeah, fucking great stuff. Brilliant way to cap off the story. I just really enjoyed it, honestly. I really enjoyed most of that album, pretty much all of the album. Just gotta listen to it. Gotta listen to all these if you can find the time. And I won't go over my listening list for next week because I haven't gathered up my albums for November yet, so I'll probably get that done over the weekend. But I always like the element of surprise when it comes to that. Having said that, that will about do it though. I'll see you all tomorrow for the Go Home show for Defy the Gods 7, and possibly on Saturday for more, I always said Yakuza Like a Dragon, for more Let's Playing Tunic. So I'll see you all for that. As always, thank you for watching, you're awesome. Bye bye.